What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new YouTube video. It's your girl Nicole, and it's been quite a minute since I sat down and talked to you guys. And today I am going to share a really important part of my story. I shared this when I talked about my entire prep experience, but for those of you who do not know, my dad passed away a little bit over a year ago. And I'm just kind of going to share the entire experience and like the impact that it's had on me. I really trust that this video will find you when you are open to receive it and when you are meant to receive it. And maybe you'll resonate, maybe you will relate. But I really believe that sharing the things that happen to you, your experiences, good or bad, can be really impactful for other people. And after all of the feedback that I got from my other video, like after being so open and honest, a lot of people were able to connect with me through that. So that's what I trust will happen with this video. That's why I'm sitting down and doing this. I'm gonna be honest, I'm like oddly nervous. My little microphone pack, I have it back here and it was like literally there's sweat on it because I'm like nervous to share this. So I'm just gonna kind of speak from the heart. I trust that God will speak through me and just kind of help me formulate my words. A little bit of backstory about me. First of all, I'm an online health and fitness coach, and I help women get freaking strong and confident in and outside of the gym. It all starts in the gym. The gym is the gateway to self-development. So if you're interested in that, link's in the description. Anyways, so some backstory. I moved to Virginia Beach. That's where I live right now. I actually live in Norfolk, but I moved to Virginia Beach in May of 2023, so a little bit over a year ago. And before I moved, my dad had been diagnosed with thyroid cancer. He had had thyroid cancer in the past. He had surgery, got it removed. It came back. So it was a routine surgery. I was teetering between like when I should move, because I was like, should I wait till after the surgery, to be there, help him recover, drive back and forth, whatever. But I was like, I'm just gonna move, and then if I need to come home, I'll come home. But we can talk on the phone, all those things. So moved here in May. I was going to church. I got to church on a Sunday, sat down with my friend, put my phone on Do Not Disturb. After a little bit, Cassidy is her name. She was like, hey, your mom's calling me. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. So let me back up a little bit. The surgery was like a routine procedure. He had 40 stitches from ear to ear. Like they sliced open his neck completely. They had like fondled his vocal cords. So it was really painful to talk. It was hard for him to talk. Like I had only gotten to talk with him on the phone one time post-surgery. And like I called home and he answered and I was like, what are you doing answering the phone? And he's like real groggy, he can hardly talk. So we just had to text. What happened at home was he had turned his neck. He's sitting on the couch, his normal morning routine, sitting on the couch, drinking his coffee, watching probably YouTube because he was like down the YouTube rabbit hole bad. And he turned his head and I guess an artery burst in his neck and he went and he couldn't breathe. So he went and told my mom like, hey, I'm not okay. And she said that his neck was like as wide as his head. It was so swollen. So she called the ambulance. We live like in the middle of nowhere, classic Midwest. And so it took a little bit for the ambulance to get there. And apparently his throat was so swollen that they couldn't get the trach in. So his brain was without oxygen for like 45 minutes. Obviously not good. So they did a little surgery at home in Indiana, airlifted him to Indianapolis. So now that's what's going on at home. I'm in Virginia. I go outside of the church, call, my mom couldn't get a hold of her, talk to my brother, and he's like, Dad, something really bad happened with Dad, like you need to get home now. So I'm like, okay, freaking out. I remember just like squatting down, bawling my eyes out, and honestly, shout out to God, that's so weird to say, but was like definitely here in this moment because I was in the perfect place to have received this information. A woman came out, saw me out there freaking out. Unbeknownst to me, she is the pastor's mother. Shout out to Joanne Lane. I go to Ascent Church in Virginia Beach, the best. Okay, anyways. And so she was helping me look at flights. She went and got my friends, brought them into the back room. And it was a very short amount of time, I was able to book a flight home. And I remember when I was packing my shit up, I remember asking Cassidy, I was like, I don't even know what to bring. Like, I don't bring clothes for a funeral. Like, no. And she's like, just worry about like your pajamas and like comfy clothes right now. I was like, all right, you're right. I don't have to worry about that. Like, and so she took me to the airport. My friend Morgan scooped me from the airport. Her mother drove me to Indy. Like, I have just such an amazing support group. But so by the time I got to Indy, my dad was already in a coma. And to give you a little bit more backstory, I had just started dieting for my bikini competition. I competed in October of 2023. This was June of 2023. So I did a whole bulking season, put on a shit ton of mass, a lot of muscle, and I was working with a coach. So I literally sent my coach an audio, and this is important for the rest of the story. I sent him an audio saying like, hey, I'm at the airport. Something really bad happened with my dad. I'm obviously crying in the audio. I'm like, I'm just sitting here meditating, imagining my dad and I at Lolly's. If you know Lolly's, it's an amazing ice cream spot. Blue Cow is arguably better. But anyways, on the ocean front, so I kept telling my dad about the ice cream place. I'm like, I'm just imagining us together. I'm like, but just so you know, my check-in might be late on Sunday or on Monday. Priorities. Literally, that's how serious I took that journey. Anyways, when I commit to something, I freaking commit. I get to Indianapolis in the evening. It's like 10 p.m. and my dad's unconscious. He was unconscious the entire time I was there. The last time I saw him was when I said goodbye when I was moving to Virginia. Long story short, he was in the ICU for 10 days. It literally felt like, it doesn't even feel like that long, but it was my mom, my brother, and I. My brother's my only sibling. Shout out to Michael, he's the GOAT. So we were staying in a hotel in Indy, and like during this time, I was training. I was doing my cardio sessions at the hotel gym. I was robbing the hotel complimentary breakfast of their hard-boiled eggs and bananas and oatmeal to hit my macros. I had gotten shredded chicken from the store. Yeah. So that's arguably like questionable, but at the same time, like I mentioned this in my other video, so I really I'm overlapping things, but in case you haven't watched that, that was like something I could control. I could control what I was putting in my body. And also, when you eat like shit, you feel like shit. So like, had I been eating Taco Bell, first of all, I didn't even want Taco Bell. I wanted the chicken and rice. Also, the gym is my escape, and it's just like time for me to focus on me and kind of like block out the rest of the world. So that was like why I was doing that. Not that I need to like justify it, but whatever. In the hospital, it was really bad. One day that's like, ingrained in my brain. So like, obviously he's unconscious. The machine like wasn't breathing for him. I believe he was breathing on his own. No, maybe. But one day, and like, I'm like, how much do I share? I remember his eyes were like bulging out of his head, and like, he was like drooling, and like, just see him like that was really hard. And my dad, my big strong man, and like to see him in like a state like that was really difficult. And like to see my mother, with her husband, and my brother. I mean, we were all going through it, man. Oh my goodness, I'm not even like into the story too much. And so my family came up and visited, like just such an amazing support system. I was told my friends, I cried a lot. I remember, so my dad like loved to talk shit to me. Like literally, he called me Butthead. That was my nickname. Like literally in the family, Butthead, it was my nickname. I did it to myself. I used to like lay on my back and like roll my legs over my head and have my butt in the air. Hence, Butthead. So when we were alone, I would have alone time with my dad, and I'd be talking to him because I believe he could hear me. And I'm like, haha, like, you can't tell me to shut up now. Like, you just have to listen to me, yap, go on and on. One thing that I do remember sharing with him was my pastor had spoken on this Bible verse about what your foundation was built on. And it's not even mainly about that. It's about not if the storms come, when the storms come. Because storms are inevitable. You cannot, avoid it. It's going to happen. It's just about like being prepared for when it does come. So I shared that with him, read in my little Bible verse, and again, I was like, haha, like you have to sit here and listen to me. Basically, they ran some scans. Obviously, the whole time we knew it was not good. But I was very optimistic, I was like, there's literally no way. There's no way he doesn't pull through this. Like, you don't like think. I just had to hack up a lung, so I returned. Okay, anyways, I never like was thinking, I mean, in the back of my mind, I was like, this could be like really bad. Like, obviously he could pass, like he could die. For some reason, I have a really hard time saying like, my dad died. Yeah, I remember one specific memory. I was on the treadmill, doing the incline treadmill in the old hotel gym. And the time correlated to with a date. Like I was like, oh, maybe that date means something. I can't remember like why, but basically the date that I saw, the time that correlated to the date was Father's Day. And I was like convinced. I'm like, he's gonna wake up on Father's Day. Like, what a classic Scott move. He'd be like, what's up, bitches? Like, you thought I was, done? Like, and I feel like it's like kind of fucked up to like make jokes about that, but like, it's my, whatever. He had a dark sense of humor, so do I. The entire time of being in the ICU is basically a blur. Like, I don't remember. It's like I said, 10 days. It felt like 10 minutes. But also felt like a freaking eternity when you were there. It's just so sad and depressing to be in there. So we had the meeting with all the doctors. You sit down in this little room and they basically went over his brain scans were really bad. Basically, if he was to wake up, he would be like a vegetable. Like, he wouldn't be able to eat on his own. He wouldn't be able to walk. He wouldn't be a human. He wouldn't be, he would be existing, but not living. And like, it's so hard to hear that like my dad was brain dead. Obviously, I mean, anyone, that would be hard to hear, but because he was an electrical engineer, this man, that's why I have such high standards for the men that I meet. He built our house. He could literally fix anything with our cars, with the house. He would help me with all of my homework, my math homework. He was a freaking genius. He passed his PE exam at 60 years old. This man hadn't been in college for 40 years. And he passed an 8-hour engineering exam. Like, he's literally a super genius. So to hear that like his brain was what was like fucked up was really hard. So they're like, it's up to us, what we want to do, if we want to continue waiting or whatever. And so we all agreed, like, I'm pretty sure in that moment, like, he wouldn't want that. He wouldn't want to be stuck to a wheelchair or whatever and have us feed him and stuff. Like, so we made the decision that they were going to take him off of everything. So they moved him and they were like, whatever, they put him in a hospice or whatever. For like, I can't remember, it was 2 days. He like was breathing on his own. Like, we were expecting that night for him to pass. Because it was in the morning when we'd had this conversation. In the afternoon, they took him off of everything. Yeah, so that night, my brother and I went to the hotel. My mom stayed in the hotel room or in the hospital with him. And then the next day, my aunt and uncle, shout out to Aunt Roxanne and Uncle John, came up to see us. I'm pretty sure it was the next day. We were kind of just like waiting, and so we went out to lunch. We walked to Moe's for lunch. And when we came back, the nurse was in the hallway, and you can like kind of just like tell by her face. And we're like, oh no, like it happened. And so, we run in there. And like my mom and my brother like run up to him, and like he didn't look like himself, different color. And I'm like, oh, nope. Like, I turned around, I couldn't even look at him because at that point I'm like, that's not him. Like, I know that like his soul left, whatever. And so I was just sitting on the ground looking at the door, and like a core memory I have, my mom was sitting on the other side of me, my left side, and my brother was on my right side. And we were all just crying together, sitting on the ground, facing the door. And it's like, damn, I think my mom said, we're a sad bunch. And yep. So we said our goodbyes. Basically, we were all on the same page, like, let's get the fuck out of here. So we went and packed up all of our stuff. And before we left, so the doctor that did the thyroid procedure, the cancer removal procedure, the routine procedure, he felt so bad. And like came and saw us multiple times, and like it's not his fault, like that this happened. I don't blame him. I saw him when I was waiting for the elevator, and he was like, how are you in such like good spirits right now? The day of. And I was like, I don't know, I guess I've just like kind of accepted this and like it happened. So it's like I can't change what happened. So like I'm just like, my dad wouldn't want me to be like, you know, moping around and like depressed about it. So basically that was my mindset. I was like, I can't control it. So like, I'm just gonna kind of try and be at peace with it. Obviously, I'm in fucking shock. My dad just died. Okay, like I'm like telling myself like I am so healed that like whatever, which was not really like my mindset. But I will say, I'm gonna talk about this at the end, but like I had been doing a lot of like the internal work for a few years leading up to this. And like truly, had I not done that, like this I think would have destroyed me if I had never started working on myself. But moving forward. Basically, I guess like that's like the whole story. We went home that evening, me and my brother had a red stripe in my dad's honor. He loved red stripe. And we got a pizza. And so yeah, after that, it was the three of us, my mom, my brother, and I. So on June 10th, my dad passed away. So now I was dieting for my show, like I said. And my coach was like I checked in on Monday. We went to the meeting for the ceremony for the funeral at the funeral home, like what we wanted and all this stuff, picked out the casket, wrote his what was going to be on the card or whatever. And then in the parking lot, before my mother and I went to Aldi to get chicken, I was sending my check-in from my phone. I was like, hold on, Mom, like I have to finish sending this before noon because that's when check-ins are due. So to my clients that are late with their fucking check-ins, I don't want to hear your excuses. I mean, like, was that borderline like messed up? Maybe, but it was, you know, and Nick was like, why did you even check in this week? Like I took my check-in photos at 6 a.m. or whatever, like whatever. So he's like, I don't want you tracking your food this week. So I like took a week off. Got back into it. It was more like 2 or 3 weeks off, and then got back into it. So went through my whole prep. At this point, I think for a while I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't been on prep at this time because like I didn't get to like actually process it. But I think that was probably the best thing. Everything happens for a reason, and I think that it was really good timing that I was on that. So I was able to hyper focus on that. I just like dialed in and crushed my entire prep. It actually crushed me, but got through that. And then after my show, everyone, you know, if you watch my video on my take on competing, everyone after they compete knows what it's like to reverse diet and like no longer having the goal of the stage. It's really hard. It's a really big mental battle. First of all, seeing your body change, going from being shredded and looking freaking sick and like a shredded alien to starting to actually have body fat and look like a normal human being again, really hard. Also, I was dealing with intense like cravings and like I was like binge eating sweets in the evening. I was the first time going through the holidays without my dad. So first round of holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, I was drinking I never drank alone. Like I was like, it was, you know, acceptable with other people. And then once I had like that layer of alcohol, the alcohol blanket, I would not be able to control myself around the sweets. So like I was sneaking into the kitchen when my family went to bed to eat ice cream, cookies, all the shit until I like felt awful, would wake up the next morning like so guilty about like, you know, it was an awful experience. I don't really want to go that far into that, and on top, so I was finally coping with it starting like December, I guess. Or no, yeah, like December. And I finally broke down and like realized like, I read on my Instagram, I was like, life isn't about what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. Like, that's such fucking bullshit. Like, I'm like, and then I went full victim, you know, for a little bit. And I think that's normal. I would say it's normal to, if you lose a parent, like, you can be a victim for a little bit. And then it's like, all right, what are we gonna do about this? So that's basically this whole story. And how has this impacted my life? Well, I really leaned into my faith. Prior to this, I was really like, getting more into spirituality, the universe, and things of that nature. And I really had like a deep sense of belief in the universe. and there's a plan for my life and manifestation, the laws of attraction and all this shit. And then so when I would go to church, he would say God, I would say universe, but I was always taking something away from the message. But since this happened, I started actually having a relationship with God, and it's still very new to me. I almost feel like I don't know enough to like say like I am a follower of God and like just really like embodying that. But I got baptized. Since then, rebaptized. I was baptized as an infant, but like that wasn't a conscious choice. This was a conscious choice to take my walk in Christianity. So I think that that's a great thing that like it led me to this. It also has, forced some growth out of me. It like makes me appreciate the present moment much more. I was really learning to appreciate the present more. But this was like, just in so many ways, it rocked my world. So I didn't mention that I quit my job, my financial job, stable income generating job in October of 2023, right before my show. Was it a rash decision? Probably. I had like 7 brain cells remaining when I was eating literally crumbs. But I quit my job, went full-time coaching, fully betting on myself, entrepreneurial, all those things. And like, I know damn well I would never have quit my job, at least not at that point, with how much money I was making per month. When the number of clients that I had, I would not have quit my job then if my dad was still alive. Absolutely not. He would literally like, no. But I did it, and here I am, living to see another day, baby. And it's since spurred some new things in me. So my father and I, like I mentioned at the beginning, always bonded over ice cream. Like we knew quality ice cream. If we would travel, go on vacation, we're seeking out the best ice cream spots. He never said no to getting ice cream. We just loved sweets. So I had this amazing idea, a download or maybe God was like, hey, do this. But Scott's Parlor. I'm going to open an ice cream shop, whether it was going to be a food truck or ice cream truck. Since then, there's been some new developments, and I am going to open an ice cream parlor soon-ish, and name it Scott's Parlor after my dad, and just kind of cultivate a space and an environment for people to bond over ice cream like my dad and I used to. And I originally was going to be like buying ice cream from somebody and selling it and putting my name on it. But since then, I've met some people, and I'm going to be making my own ice cream, which my dad would love that process of like science behind making good ass ice cream. This is not gonna be no mid fucking soft serve shit. No, like it's the hard scoop with the good mix-ins, like the wait on it. But so that's happened. It's really forced me to get out of my comfort zone, and through my church, I've met a lot of amazing people. And it's really just like taught me that you never know what someone's going through. It's given me the ability to have so much more empathy for others. But also like every single challenge that you go through just like teaches you how freaking resilient you are. Like, every single person watching this, you've been through some shit that keeps you up at night, and you're crying into your pillow at nighttime thinking like, how am I ever going to get through this? And you got through it. Maybe right now you're going through something that you don't know how you're going to survive it, but you will. Like literally up until this point, every single obstacle that you have been faced with, you've overcome. And just having that deep knowing, and also pairing that with like my faith of like, God has a plan for me, and everything that's happening to me, for me, is meant to happen, and like I will get through it, and I will come out of it stronger as long as I take it as a lesson. And like my coach told me, shout out to Nicole, he gets freaking roasted on Reddit, but that man is an amazing human, and I'm very grateful for our relationship. He was my business mentor and my fitness coach, but we're no longer in cahoots. We're no longer working together, but he had a huge impact on my life. But he was like, at the end of the day, like you will come out of this stronger, whether it's with your dad or not. And I fully believe that. So at this point in my life, I'm at a like really good I'm in a really good place with talking about it. I don't cry about it as much as I used to. Sometimes I'm like, am I being avoidant? Like, I haven't cried in a few weeks. Like, are you okay? But I have a little journal that just for him, my friend's mom got it to me. It's like letters to my dad in heaven. So I will write to him, fill him in on my life, and just constantly being in communication with him, like talking to him, and whether that's through meditating, prayer, whatever. I truly do, believe that he is energetically with me. And maybe none of that shit's true, but if it helps me get through the day, what's wrong with believing that? And I think that people that are so negative about the spiritual or religious things, about God, me fully believing that God has a plan for my life and everything is laid out as it should be. If you don't believe that, okay, that's fine, but I'm gonna believe it because even if it's not true, if that gives me a positive mindset and allows me to be optimistic for the future, what's the harm in believing that shit? We're all gonna die at some point. Literally, we're on a floating rock in space. So it's if that belief for me, which I truly believe it, you don't have to, but I think that you should. But even if you don't, that belief for me gets me through the day, and it allows me to be fully present and enjoy the present moment. And I think that that's huge. So I really just hope that this makes sense, that you got something from this. It's been really heavy on my heart, and I've wanted to share this for quite some time. So again, if you are going through something, you've gone through this grief, you've experienced maybe losing somebody close to you, whether it's a parent or just a family member or a friend or something, you're not alone. Everybody goes through this in some way, shape, or form, and it's okay to talk about it. It's normal to talk about it. So basically, I hope that if you are still here, I hope that you got something valuable from this. Maybe you related, maybe it gave you a different perspective, maybe it gave you some hope or something, or it allowed you to view your situation in a different light. That's really my main purpose for sharing this. And I just want to remind you not to take your life for granted, and also shit is gonna happen whether you want it to or not. So if you could just release your control as much as you can. I know it's really hard, but and kind of just allow things to happen as they will and react positively and always look for solutions instead of sitting in the victim mindset, viewing things as an opportunity instead of becoming a victim to your story. That will change everything. And thank God I learned that prior to this happening, because I truly think that I would have been in such a worse place had I not been doing this work, the inner work, and getting to know myself first. And I'm not lying when I say that had I not gotten into the gym and started working on myself physically, I would never be at this place mentally. And do I have a ton of work to do? Obviously, you're never healed. It's a healing journey. You're always a work in progress, but holy shit, I am a different human than I was a few years ago, even a year ago or 6 months ago. So that's all I have to say. If you're still here, please hit the like button and drop and subscribe if you have not already. Seriously, I just love connecting with you guys. I've met so many people through YouTube, which is amazing. If you found it valuable, let me know, drop a comment. Thank you for sitting and listening with me. I appreciate every single one of you that is here. Your time and attention is so special to me, and I do not take it for granted. So I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.